The first time Fatima saw everyone bow, her brain refused to accept it. It happened so fast that her eyes didn't even blink. 1 minute, the office floor of Denby Holdings was loud with the usual morning sounds. Heels clicking, printers buzzing, somebody arguing softly about the generator fuel. The next minute, the entire place went quiet, like someone had pressed a mute button. Then people started standing. Not just standing, straightening their backs, fixing their collars, holding their hands in front of them like they were about to greet royalty. Fatima looked up from her desk. A line had formed near the glass entrance of the executive wing. Senior managers, HR people, even the security men that normally joked around were suddenly stiff like iron rods. "What is going on?" she whispered, more to herself than to anyone. Her colleague Say leaned close, voice low. "It's the new CEO. She arrived." Fatima scoffed. "So, is she a governor?" Say gave her warning look. "Please, just stand." Fatima stood slowly, still confused. She didn't like drama. She also didn't like people who acted like they were above others. But then, the new CEO stepped in, and like a strange wave, everybody bent forward in greeting. Some bowed deeply. One woman even dipped into a small curtsy, like she was greeting an auntie at a wedding. Fatima's chest tightened, because the face that walked past the glass door, the face that moved calmly between all those bowed heads, was a face Fatima knew, a face she had laughed at, a face she had pointed at with a sharp finger in the dusty Ikotu market, like she was pointing at trash. A face that had knelt on the ground when Fatima ordered her to. Amina. Fatima's stomach dropped so hard it felt like she had missed a step on stairs. "No," she breathed. The woman didn't look like a beggar now. She was dressed in a simple but expensive-looking cream outfit, the kind that didn't shout but still made everybody know it cost money. Her shoes didn't make noise, yet she moved with confidence. Her hair was covered with a neat scarf that looked like it had been tied by a professional. And her eyes were the same. Calm, older than her age, the kind of eyes that had seen hunger, seen betrayal, seen survival, and had refused to die. Amina walked in, nodded once, and the board chairman smiled too hard, like he was desperate to impress her. Fatima's fingers went cold. She couldn't hear the greeting words properly anymore. Everything became a blur of "Welcome, Ma," and "We are honored," and "It's our pleasure." All Fatima could hear was her own voice from that day at Ikotu Market, loud and mocking. "That's what old lazy people like you deserve." Her mouth went dry. Amina's gaze lifted slightly. For one scary second, Fatima thought their eyes met. She felt like a small child caught stealing meat from the pot. But Amina didn't pause, she didn't point, she didn't shout. She just kept walking, straight toward the CEO's office. Fatima stood there, frozen, while the whole floor slowly returned to normal noise, like a radio volume being turned back up. Say exhaled. "Ah, big woman." Fatima couldn't breathe well. Her throat worked, but no words came out. Say nudged her. "Fatima, are you okay? Your face." Fatima forced a laugh that sounded like it didn't belong to her. "I'm fine." But she wasn't fine, because she knew something terrible. She knew she had done something that could destroy her. Not next month, not someday. Today. Her mind raced like a generator that refused to switch off. She didn't even know how she got to her small office corner, but suddenly she was sitting, staring at her laptop screen, without seeing anything. Her hands started shaking. This was not fear of losing a job. This was fear of facing the mirror. Because Fatima wasn't a thief. She wasn't lazy. She wasn't even the bad person people liked to call her. But she was sharp, too sharp. The kind of sharp that could cut people and still pretend it was discipline. And now the person she had cut was sitting in the highest office in the building. Fatima swallowed hard. A memory pushed its way into her mind, loud and clear, like it was happening again. Ikotu Market was not the kind of place that cared about your mood. It was loud, hot, dusty, full of life and arguments and bargaining. The air smelled like pepper, dried fish, sweat, and fried akara. People shouted prices. Bus conductors yelled outside the gate. Traders dragged wheelbarrows with heavy loads like their lives depended on it. Because sometimes it did. Fatima walked through the crowd with the kind of speed that made people shift out of her way. She wore an expensive office suit, navy blue, fitted, clean. Her bag was small but classy. Her perfume mixed strangely with the market. Smell. She was there because her mother had called her that morning. Fatima, please buy palm oil. The one in the house is finished. Fatima had sighed. Mama, why didn't you tell the house girl? What house girl? Her mother snapped. Is it house girl that will choose good oil? Fatima didn't argue. She just came. But Fatima didn't come to the market like other people. She came like somebody inspecting a place. Her eyes moved fast, judging everything. That woman is too slow. That man is lying about the price. This one is lazy. Look at how she's sitting while others are working. She had always despised laziness. Not the kind where someone is tired, not the kind where someone is sick. No, she despised the kind she believed was choice. It came from her childhood. Fatima grew up in Ajagunle, a one-room apartment, a mother that sold food, a father that promised a lot and delivered nothing. She remembered days when her mother would come home, late with swollen feet, and still cook, still wash, still smile. And she remembered her father sitting outside, playing draft with friends, saying, "Tomorrow I will find a better job." Tomorrow never came. So Fatima learned early, if you don't fight, you suffer. And when she finally fought her way into a good job, she made a vow. I will never be like the people who sit and blame life. That vow became her pride. It also became her weakness. As she walked deeper into Ikotu, a thin voice called out from the side, Abeg, my daughter, help me. Fatima didn't turn at first. She kept walking, but the voice followed again, closer, trembling. Please, I never chop since morning. Fatima stopped. She turned slowly, already annoyed, like someone had interrupted her. That was when she saw her. An old woman, about 65, dark-skinned, with grey hair scattered around her face. Her gown was blue, but looked more brown because of dust stains. Her knees were on the dusty ground. Tears ran down her cheeks in quiet lines. And her hand was raised. Not in greeting, in begging. Amina. Around her people passed. Some avoided looking, some stared briefly, then looked away. A few middle-aged market women watched with mixed expressions, pity, discomfort, sometimes even irritation. Fatima's eyes narrowed. She didn't like beggars. Not because she didn't believe in helping. She helped sometimes, quietly, but she didn't like what begging represented to her. Surrender. She stepped closer, voice firm. Mama, stand up. Amina looked up, eyes watery. My daughter, I beg you. Fatima's tone became harder. Stand up first. Amina tried to move, but her legs shook. She remained kneeling, embarrassed. Fatima glanced around and saw the market women watching. Something in her snapped into performance mode. She wanted to teach a lesson. Not just to Amina, to everyone watching. She dug into her bag, pulled out a crisp note, not even small money, something that could buy food and still have change. Amina's eyes widened. God bless you. Fatima lifted the money slightly. You want it? Amina nodded quickly, hope rising on her face like sunshine. Fatima tilted her head. Kneel properly. Amina blinked. I'm already kneeling. Fatima shook her head. No, kneel well. Put both knees. Put your hands on the ground. Let people see. A hush formed around them, the kind of hush markets rarely make. Even the noise seemed to shift away, like it didn't want to witness what was about to happen. Amina's lips trembled. My daughter. Fatima smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. It was thin, controlled, like a blade. Do it, Fatima said. If you want help, show that you really want it. Amina looked around. Her cheeks burned with shame. Slowly, painfully, she lowered her other knee. Dust rose slightly. Her palms touched the ground. A few women gasped softly. One woman muttered, Ah, ah, ah. Why now? Fatima's heart should have softened. It didn't. Instead, she laughed. Not a loud laugh, worse than loud. A laugh with contempt. Then she pointed at Amina, her finger sharp in the air. That's what old lazy people like you deserve, Fatima said, loud enough for everyone. since you choose to be lazy and couldn't even train your children to help you." Amina flinched like the words slapped her. Fatima continued, voice rising with that dangerous confidence people get when they think they are right. "See you. You're here begging like this. Where are your children? Where is your family? Or you people just like free money?" Amina's tears fell harder now. Not just hunger tears, humiliation tears. Fatima held the money up again, like she was dangling hope in front of a starving person. Amina's shaking hand lifted toward it. Then Fatima pulled back. She smiled again and walked away. She didn't give the money. She didn't even look back. Behind her she heard angry murmurs, shocked voices, someone saying, "This girl wicked." But Fatima didn't stop. She told herself she had done the right thing. If you encourage begging, you increase it. She told herself she was strong. Life is hard. People must stand up. She told herself she was teaching responsibility. But there was one thing Fatima didn't see. As she walked away, Amina slowly lifted her head and looked after her. Her face was wet with tears and dust. But her eyes were not weak. They were quiet. And somehow, they carried a warning Fatima didn't understand. Fatima's office suddenly felt smaller than usual. The AC was working, but sweat touched her back. She could hear voices outside. Excitement, gossip, people saying the new CEO was humble, that she didn't like noise, that she wanted results. Fatima's ears rang. She opened her drawer and pulled out a plain sheet of paper. Her hands were shaking so much she almost tore it. "Write," she told herself. "Write before she sends for you." Her mind showed her two possible futures. Amina calls her in, exposes her in front of everyone, and fires her on the spot. Amina calls her in, smiles politely, and ruins her quietly over time. Fatima didn't know which one was worse. She picked up her pen and began to write a resignation letter. Not because she was proud, because she was terrified. Because for the first time in years, Fatima realized something. You can be hardworking and still be cruel. You can hate laziness and still forget compassion. You can think you're teaching a lesson and actually be destroying a person. Fatima wrote quickly, tears threatening her eyes, her handwriting messy. "Dear Sir/Ma, I am writing to resign from my position." Halfway through, her vision blurred. She blinked fast, swallowed, forced herself to finish. When she signed her name at the bottom, her chest felt hollow. She stood up. Her legs felt weak. She walked out of her corner office into the hallway, clutching the paper like it was the only thing holding her together. People were still buzzing. "Have you seen her? She's the one that built that charity school in Kano, Abi. I heard she's from Lagos, but she lived abroad for years. Guy, she's not smiling, oh, serious woman." Fatima's throat tightened. Charity school? Kano? Abroad? Her head spun. She reached the executive wing. Two security men stood at the entrance. They looked serious. Fatima nodded, trying to act normal. "Good morning." One of them checked her ID quickly and stepped aside. Inside, the hallway smelled like polish and expensive air freshener. The CEO's office door was slightly open. Fatima could hear a calm female voice inside. Low, controlled, not loud, but every word landing like a stone. Amina's voice. Fatima stopped right there. Her knees almost buckled. Her palms became wet on the resignation letter. She told herself, "Go in, apologize, accept whatever happens." But her body didn't want to move, because now the humiliation wasn't just something she did to someone else. It was something returning to her. Slowly, surely, like a bill you forgot you owed. Until the collector showed up. Fatima raised her hand to knock. Before her knuckles touched the door, the voice inside paused. Then Amina said clearly, as if she knew someone was there, "Send the next person in." Fatima's blood ran cold. The secretary's chair scraped softly, and the door opened wider. The secretary looked straight at Fatima. "Madam Fatima," she said gently, "the CEO will see you now." Fatima's heart slammed hard, not because she was walking into an office, because she was walking into judgment. She stepped forward, and as she crossed the doorway, she saw Amina sitting behind the huge desk, calm and steady, with her eyes already lifted, waiting. Fatima's resignation letter trembled in her hand, and Amina's face showed nothing at all, not anger, not a smile, Just quiet, like deep water. Fatima tried to speak, but no sound came out. Amina leaned back slightly and said, in a voice Fatima would never forget, "Where have I seen you before?" Fatima's knees softened. The paper nearly slipped from her hand. And in that moment, Fatima realized something terrifying. Amina was not just going to punish her. She was going to make her remember, and Fatima didn't know if she could survive that. The silence was heavier than shouting. Fatima stood there, inside the CEO's office, holding her resignation letter like a shield that couldn't protect her anymore. Amina watched her, not with anger, not with pride, just watching. The kind of watching that makes your past line up in front of you without permission. "Sit," Amina said calmly. Fatima didn't move. Her knees felt weak, her chest was tight. Sitting felt wrong, like she didn't deserve the chair. "I asked you to sit," Amina repeated, not louder, not softer. So Fatima sat. The leather chair felt cold against her palms. Amina glanced at the paper in Fatima's hand. "What is that?" Fatima swallowed, her voice cracked. My resignation letter, Ma." Amina nodded slowly, as if she had expected it. She did not reach for the paper. Instead, she asked, "Why are you resigning?" Fatima's lips trembled. Words piled up in her chest, but only one truth forced its way out. "Because I don't deserve to work here." Amina leaned forward slightly. "That's a big statement." Fatima's eyes filled with tears. "I humiliated you." There it was. The truth landed between them like something fragile. For the first time since Fatima entered, Amina's eyes changed. Not sharply, not angrily, but with recognition. "So," Amina said softly, "you remember." Fatima nodded quickly. Every word, every laugh, every second. Her shoulders shook. She couldn't stop it. "I didn't know who you were. I swear I didn't know." Amina tilted her head. "If you had known, would you have behaved differently?" The question hit Fatima like a slap. She opened her mouth, closed it, then whispered, "Yes." Amina's eyes held hers. "Why?" Fatima broke. Tears spilled freely now, messy and unplanned. "Because I respect power," she said, ashamed. "Because I respect position. Because I was raised to fear consequences, not humanity." The words tasted bitter, but they were honest. Amina leaned back in her chair. The room felt larger now, colder. "You see," Amina said slowly, "that answer is worse than denial." Fatima bowed her head. "I know." Amina stood up, not suddenly, not dramatically, but when she did, Fatima's heart jumped. Amina walked toward the window, hands behind her back, looking. Down at Victoria Island far below, the cars, the people, the noise that didn't reach this height. "When you humiliated me," Amina said, still facing the window, "what did you think would happen to me afterward?" Fatima squeezed her eyes shut. "I thought you would go back to begging," she whispered. "I thought life would continue as usual." Amina nodded once. "Exactly." She turned slowly. "That is the problem." Her voice was still calm, but it carried weight now. "You thought my life began and ended in that market." Fatima felt smaller with every word. "You didn't ask my name," Amina continued. "You didn't ask why I was there. You didn't ask if I had children or a home or a story." Amina stopped walking, standing directly in front of Fatima's desk. "You decided everything about me in less than a minute." Fatima's fingers dug into her palms. "I'm sorry," she said again weakly. "I can't change it, but I'm sorry." Amina studied her face. For a long moment, neither woman spoke. Then Amina surprised her. She laughed. Not loudly, not mockingly. A soft laugh, almost sad. "Do you know why I was in Ikotu Market that day?" Amina asked. Fatima shook her head quickly. "I was looking for my sister's old shop," Amina said. "She used to sell fabrics there before she died." Fatima's breath caught. "I hadn't been back in years," Amina continued. "I dressed simply on purpose. I wanted to remember." "Remember what?" Fatima asked quietly. "What hunger feels like," Amina replied. "What invisibility feels like." She returned to her chair and sat down, folding her hands. I grew up poorer than you can imagine, she said. I begged once, not for money, for help, and I was laughed at. Fatima flinched. Amina's gaze was steady. That day in the market when you laughed at me, it wasn't new. Fatima felt something tear inside her chest. So why didn't you stop me? She asked, voice trembling. Why didn't you say anything? Amina smiled faintly. Because I didn't need to. Fatima looked up, confused. Life has a way of finishing conversations we start, Amina said. The words sank deep. A knock sounded at the door. Both women looked up. The secretary peeked in. Ma, the board is ready for the introduction speech. Amina nodded. Tell them I'll be there shortly. The door closed. Amina turned back to Fatima. You brought a resignation letter, she said, but I didn't call you in here to accept it. Fatima's heart pounded. Then why? Because running away is easy, Amina said. Facing who you are is harder. She reached out and finally took the letter from Fatima's hand. She glanced at it once, then placed it face down on the desk. I will not accept this, Amina said. Fatima stared at her. Ma. I believe people can change, Amina continued, but change is not words. It is action, time, discomfort. Fatima nodded slowly, unsure where this was going. So here is what will happen, Amina said. You will not resign. Fatima exhaled shakily. You will be placed on probation, Amina added, immediate effect. Fatima's relief froze. Probation, she echoed. Yes, Amina said. You will keep your job, but your performance will be reviewed every week. Fatima swallowed. That's fair. Amina leaned forward. You will also volunteer. Fatima blinked. Volunteer? Where? Amina's eyes sharpened just a little. At our outreach centers, she said. Markets, shelters, rural areas. Fatima's heart skipped. You will meet people you once judged, Amina continued. You will listen. You will serve, and you will not be praised for it. Fatima nodded, tears falling again. Thank you. I'm not done, Amina said. Fatima stiffened. You will report directly to me, Amina said. Not HR, not your manager, me. Fatima's mouth went dry. And if I find even a trace of that same cruelty, Amina added, voice firm now, you will leave this company quietly. Yes, Ma, Fatima said quickly. I understand. Amina stood again. Good. She walked toward the door. Fatima stood too, unsure whether to follow. At the door, Amina paused and turned. One more thing, she said. Fatima looked up. Amina's eyes met hers fully now. Do not expect forgiveness to feel good, Amina said. Sometimes it feels like punishment. Then she opened the door and stepped out. Fatima was left standing alone in the office. Her legs finally gave way. She sank back into the chair, covering her face with her hands. She wasn't fired. She wasn't exposed. But somehow, this felt worse, because she had been seen, and she couldn't hide anymore. Minutes later, an email, notification popped up on her laptop. Subject, immediate reassignment, community outreach. Her heart dropped. She opened it. You are to report to Ikotu Market Outreach Center tomorrow by 8 a.m. Wear simple clothing. No assistance, no company car. Fatima stared at the screen. Ikotu. Her stomach twisted. The market, the place where everything began. Her phone buzzed with a message from Sei. Guy, I heard you're on probation. What did you do? Fatima didn't reply. She shut down her laptop slowly. Tomorrow she would return to the same dusty ground. Not as a boss, not as a judge, but as someone who had to face the echo of her own voice. And she didn't know if Ikotu Market would welcome her or break her completely. Fatima did not sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the same image. Dusty ground. 2 knees pressed into it, a trembling hand raised, and her own finger pointing, sharp and cruel. She turned from one side of the bed to the other. The AC hummed softly, useless against the heat crawling under her skin. At 3:12 a.m., she finally gave up and sat up. This is probation, she whispered to herself. Just probation. But her chest knew better. This was not probation. This was reckoning. By 6:30 a.m., Fatima was dressed, not in her usual fitted suit, but in simple jeans and a plain cotton shirt. No makeup, no perfume. She tied her hair back and stared at herself in the mirror. She barely recognized the woman looking back. "You deserve this," she said quietly. The Uber dropped her a few streets away from Ikotu Market. No company car, no driver, just her, walking. As she got closer, the familiar sounds rushed at her like a memory with teeth. Traders shouting, metal bowls clanging, engines revving, a baby crying somewhere. The air smelled exactly the same: pepper, sweat, smoke, and dust. Her stomach tightened. People brushed past her without looking twice. To them, she was just another woman walking into the market. No power, no respect, no title. She reached the small outreach point, a makeshift stand with a banner that read, "Denby Holdings Community Support, 2 folding chairs, a small table, bottled water, forms." That was it. No red carpet. A young man stood behind the table, arranging pamphlets. He looked up when he saw her. "You must be Fatima," he said. She nodded. "Yes." "I'm Ibrahim," he said, extending his hand. "We were told you'd be joining us today." "Joining, not leading." She shook his hand. "What do I do?" Ibrahim smiled lightly. "You listen." That word again. Listen. Before she could ask more, a familiar murmur rippled through the crowd. Fatima felt it before she saw it. People were staring, whispering, pointing, not sharply but cautiously. Her pulse quickened. Then a voice cut through the noise. "May she be that girl?" Fatima froze. A woman stepped forward, middle-aged, thick arms, Ankara wrapper tied tight. "I remember you," the woman said loudly. "You be the one that insult that old woman." Fatima's throat went dry. More faces turned. Another woman nodded. "Yes, yes, I remember. You laugh at her." The ground felt unstable under Fatima's feet. Ibrahim glanced at her, concern in his eyes. "Do you know her?" Fatima swallowed hard. "Yes." The women didn't shout. That was worse. They looked at her the way people look at someone who disappointed them deeply. "Where that old woman?" one asked. Fatima's heart sank. "I don't know," she said honestly. A silence followed, then someone laughed, not kindly. "So now you come with charity banner," a voice said from the back. "You think say we go clap for you?" Fatima felt her ears burn. She wanted to explain, to defend herself, to say she was here to change. But Amina's words echoed in her head. "Do not expect forgiveness to feel good." She stepped forward, slowly. "I'm not here for praise," Fatima said. Her voice shook, but she didn't stop. "I'm here to help, and to listen." A woman scoffed. "You didn't listen that day." Fatima nodded. "I know." Her honesty surprised them, and herself. "I was wrong," she said. "I can't undo it. But I won't pretend it didn't happen." The market buzzed again, louder now, opinions flying like dust. Some people looked away. Some watched closely. Then, from the edge of the crowd, a small figure pushed forward. A girl. She couldn't have been more than 10 years old, thin, hair in rough braids, slippers too big for her feet. She stood directly in front of Fatima and looked up at her. "Are you the one that made that old woman cry?" the girl asked. Fatima's chest tightened. "Yes," she said quietly. The girl's eyes narrowed. "Why?" Fatima opened her mouth, closed it, then said the truth. "Because I thought I was better than her." The crowd went silent again. The girl stared at her for a long moment. Then she said something Fatima did not expect. "My grandma cries like that sometimes." The words hit Fatima harder than any insult. Before she could respond, the girl turned and ran back into the crowd. Fatima felt something crack inside her. Ibrahim cleared his throat. Let's start distributing the food packs." They worked for hours. Fatima carried bags, lifted cartons, handed out water, filled forms. No one called her Ma. Some people ignored her. Some accepted the help without looking at her face. Some stared, as if trying to decide if she was acting. The sun climbed higher, sweat soaked through her shirt. Her arms ached, but she didn't stop. At one point, an elderly man refused to collect food from her. "Keep it," he said coldly. "Your hand is heavy." Fatima nodded. "Okay." She passed it to someone else without argument. By afternoon, her legs were shaking. She bent slightly, hands on her knees, breathing hard. That was when she saw her, across the market. A blue gown, dust-stained, familiar. Fatima's heart slammed. Amina. She stood near a vegetable stall, not in CEO clothes, not with escorts, just standing, watching. Fatima's first instinct was to hide, her second instinct was to run. Instead, her feet moved forward on their own. Every step felt like walking toward fire. As Fatima got closer, Amina turned. Their eyes met. Amina didn't smile. She didn't frown. She simply waited. Fatima stopped a few feet away. For a moment, words failed her. Then, slowly, without anyone telling her to, Fatima knelt, right there, on the dusty ground of Ikotu Market. Gasps rippled through the nearby crowd. Fatima bowed her head. "I am sorry," she said, voice breaking. "I had no right." The ground felt hot beneath her knees. Her pride burned away. She stayed there, waiting. Waiting for judgment. Waiting for rejection. Waiting for anything. Amina looked down at her. The market seemed to hold its breath. Then Amina spoke. Her voice was low, steady, carrying just enough to be heard. "Stand up." Fatima didn't move. "Stand up," Amina repeated. Slowly, shaking, Fatima rose. Amina looked around at the watching crowd, then back at Fatima. "This place does not need another show," she said. "It needs consistency." Fatima nodded, tears running freely now. "I know," she whispered. Amina studied her face for a long moment, then she said something that sent a chill through Fatima's body. "Tomorrow," Amina said, "you will return here alone." Fatima's heart skipped. "No banner," Amina added. "No team. No audience." Fatima looked up, confused. "And," Amina continued, "you will find the woman you humiliated." Fatima's breath caught. "If you cannot find her," Amina said calmly, "your probation ends." The words dropped like a stone. Amina turned and walked away, blending into the market like she had never been there at all. Fatima stood frozen. Find her. In all of Lagos. Her knees felt weak again. She looked around at the endless crowd, the moving bodies, the noise, the chaos. Somewhere in this sea of people was Amina's past self, and Fatima's future depended on finding her. Fatima returned to Ikotu Market the next morning alone. No banner, no chair, no bottled water. Just her. The market was already alive when she arrived. Same noise, same dust, same smell. Yet everything felt different, like the ground itself remembered her. She moved slowly this time. She stopped at every corner, looked carefully at every elderly woman she passed. Blue gowns, brown gowns, torn wrappers, bent backs. Her heart jumped each time. Is it her? By mid-morning, her hope began to thin. She asked quietly, humbly, "Please, do you know an old woman named Amina? She used to beg around here." Some people shook their heads, some ignored her. One woman laughed bitterly. "Many old women beg here, hunger no get name." That sentence stayed with Fatima. Hunger has no name. She walked deeper into the market, past places she had rushed through before, behind stalls, near the gutters, under a leaking zinc roof where a few elderly people sat together. Then she heard coughing, weak, dry. She followed the sound. Behind a pile of empty baskets, she saw her. Amina sat on the bare ground, back against a wall. Her blue gown was faded even more now. Her eyes were closed. Her breathing was shallow. Fatima froze, not because she had found her, because she looked worse, much worse. Fatima knelt beside her without thinking. "Mama." "Amina," she whispered. The old woman's eyes opened slowly. Recognition came, not shock, not anger, just tired understanding. "You came back," Amina said softly. Fatima's throat closed. "Yes," she said, "I was told to find you." Amina gave a faint smile. "Life likes full circles." Fatima wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "I brought nothing. I wasn't told to." Amina nodded. "Good." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Amina spoke, voice weak but clear. "I knelt that day because hunger bent my knees," she said, "not because I am less than you." Fatima bowed her head. "I know that now." Amina studied her. "Do you?" Fatima looked up, eyes red. Yes, because today I knelt because shame bent mine. Amina's lips trembled slightly. You think this is about punishment, Amina said. It is not. She coughed, pressed a hand to her chest. It is about seeing, she continued. Many people look. Few people see. Fatima reached out carefully and held Amina's hand. It was light, fragile. I see you, Fatima said. Amina closed her eyes briefly. Then go, she said, and do better. Fatima shook her head. I won't leave you like this. Amina opened her eyes again, sharp now despite her weakness. You cannot save everyone, she said, but you can change how you treat them. Footsteps approached. Fatima looked up. Ibrahim stood a few steps away, worry on his face. Fatima, the CEO is asking for an update. Fatima rose slowly. She looked down at Amina once more. I found her, she said quietly, but I found more than that. As she turned to leave, Amina's voice followed her. Remember this, Amina said, power is loud, compassion is quiet. Fatima stopped walking. Those words settled into her bones, and for the first time she understood. This probation was no longer about her job, it was about who she would become next. Fatima stood outside the CEO's office with her heart pounding. This time she didn't carry a resignation letter. She carried something heavier. Truth. Inside the office, Amina sat calmly, reading through a file. She looked up when Fatima entered. Did you find her? Amina asked. Yes, Fatima replied. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were not. I found her. Amina nodded. And? Fatima took a deep breath. She is sick, weak, still proud, still human. Amina closed the file gently. Sit. Fatima sat. She told me something, Fatima continued. She said hunger bent her knees that day, not weakness. Amina's eyes softened, just a little. What did it bend in you? Amina asked. Fatima didn't answer immediately. She looked down at her hands. It bent my pride, she said. It broke the version of me that thought being strong meant being cruel. Silence filled the room again, but this time it felt different. Not heavy, honest. Amina stood and walked toward the window. When I started this company, she said quietly, I promised myself one thing. That power would never make me forget pain. She turned back to Fatima. You failed that test in the market, Amina said, but you passed another one. Fatima looked up, startled. Passed? You came back, Amina said, not to explain, not to defend yourself, but to kneel. Fatima's throat tightened. I didn't kneel because you are CEO, she said quickly. I knelt because I was wrong. Amina studied her face carefully. That is the difference, she said. Amina walked back to her desk and picked up Fatima's probation file. I will end your probation today, she said. Fatima's breath caught. Ma, but not the work, Amina added. She slid a new document across the desk. This company runs an NGO, Amina said. You will head it. Fatima stared at the paper, stunned. Me? Yes, Amina replied, because you understand now what numbers and reports cannot teach. Fatima shook her head, overwhelmed. People know my past. They won't believe me. Amina smiled faintly. Let them watch you instead. Tears rolled down Fatima's cheeks. I don't deserve this, she whispered. Amina leaned forward. Deserve is not the point. Responsibility is. Fatima nodded slowly. I won't fail, she said. Amina's voice softened. You will fail sometimes, but you will correct yourself. That is growth. Later that day, as news spread through the office, people whispered in disbelief. Fatima? Charity? But Fatima didn't react. That evening she returned to Ikotu Market, not with banners, not with cameras, but with food, medicine, and quiet respect. She found Amina again. This time she didn't kneel. She sat beside her, and she listened. She understood that humiliation reveals character, but mercy reshapes it. Sometimes the people we step on are the same people holding the keys to who we can become. And sometimes the greatest promotion in life is not a new title, but a new heart. If you like this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.